What a lot of people don't understand about Elden Ring bosses is how they are categorized in terms of appearance and how they play out. These bosses might be unique in their design, but, well, not all of them are unique. But once you start paying attention, you realize that there are some similarities in how these bosses operate, like there's some sort of blueprint that connects these bosses together. So after spending more than 1,000 hours on this game, I found a good way to type these enemies. I basically put them in 5 different groups plus 1 extra in terms of their similarities, sizes, movesets, and more. So with that out of the way, let's get it started. Starting with the most frequent major bosses, we have the tanks. Tanks are basically the bread and butter of Souls games, and they are especially abundant in Elden Ring. These are the bosses that usually have a decent amount of health that could vary, large hitboxes, relatively fast attack speed, and medium agility. Also, these bosses do not get staggered on hit like many other overworld enemies. Their main method of damage are melee attacks, and because their hits cover such a massive area in front of them, your best bet is to roll into their attacks. However, some of these bosses also have large AoEs and casting abilities, so you cannot say they are always purely melee. First phase Godfrey is the definition of a textbook tank boss. Other important tank examples in this game are Mohg, Morgott, Godric, and Messmer. Tree Sentinels and other horseback bosses also fit in this category. While tanks have the advantage of their size and large health pools, beast bosses excel at both while also being pretty agile. Most of the bosses in this category are literal beasts, so I thought it's a pretty good name for them. These bosses have the size to match the tanks, but their main point of difference is their speed and unrelenting aggression. Basically, a beast type of boss is very fast and agile, has a decent amount of HP, is overwhelmingly aggressive, and is pretty large in size. The most obvious example of a beast boss in Elden Ring is Maliketh the Blackblade. Other notable examples are Divine Beast Dancing Lion, Ulcerated Teary Spirits, and Rune Bears. Notice how all the bosses I named are pretty large in size, but that doesn't mean they are the largest bosses in the game. No, that honor goes to Colossals. Colossals are basically the titans of Elden Ring, and are defined by their massive sizes and extra large health pools. Most of these bosses have an insane amount of HP, but some of them lack in agility. I mean, Dragonlord Playstageusax is just one big chunky potato in his first phase. However, that doesn't mean that these bosses don't like moving around, and when they do, you have to run across the whole lands between to get to them again. Their size allows their attacks to hit you from across the whole arena, so sticking to them is usually the best option. These bosses also have a lot of AoE or ranged attacks to cover up their blind spots. The most notable colossal bosses of Elden Ring are the Fire Giant, Astel, Elden Beast, and any dragon type of boss, including Dragonlord Playstageusax. However, we can argue that a Star Scourge Radahn is also considered a colossal boss because of his massive size and massive hitboxes. While colossal bosses may be pretty effective in long-range battle, they can't really do it quite as good as the casters. As the name suggests, casters are defined by their ability to cast different spells and force you to close the distance between you and them as quick as possible. These bosses utilize spells and incantations to overwhelm the player in larger distances, so their main gimmick is to force the player to stay close to them as much as they can. However, that can change very quickly once they pull out the reverse Uno card and start using their close range spells or AoEs, so the player must be prepared to adapt at any second. Rennala and Midra are the most notable casters in the game. While I enjoy the differing movesets of the casters, nothing can really compare to the excitement that I feel fighting the Duelists. Duelists are basically humanoid enemies who have a wide variety of quick combos and are the most agile out of all the other bosses. Their main point of difference with the tanks is their agility and the fact that they can get staggered on hit. Also, because they are arguably smaller than tanks, the area that they cover with each hit isn't as wide, so rolling away from them is a viable option. Some of the most iconic bosses in the series are under this category. But I guess Miyazaki decided to just make one absolute banger of a duelist in the major bosses and called it a day. However, that's not to say that Malenia is the only duelist type of boss in Elden Ring. Ringleader Alecto, Swordmaster Onze, the Bloodhound Knight Darrewell, and the Ancient Hero of Zamor are also some of the most notable duelist bosses in the game, and I had more fun fighting Alecto and Onze than fighting some of the main bosses. So these are the 5 main categories of bosses in Elden Ring and other Souls games. However, there's actually a secret 6 type that I couldn't fit in as easily as others, a category that I like to call the hybrids. These are the bosses that might be a combination of 2 or even 3 types. For example, Bale the Dread has the size of a colossal boss, but also the aggression and the agility of a beast type. Or second phase Godfrey is a hybrid between a tank and a beast. Relana has the range and moveset of a duelist, but it's not possible to stagger her. And she has a wide variety of ranged attacks, so she ends up being a hybrid of a duelist, a tank, and a caster. You know what? Let's play a game. What type of boss do you think second phase Mesmer is? The right answer is B. How about Rykard? The right answer is D. How about Consort Radon? Trick question. The right answer is bullshit. So now we know all of the types, but how do each of them play out? Well, it's quite simple. Tanks force you to take turns against the boss, roll through all of their attacks and then hit them once you get a window. The beast force you to control your aggression and be patient to get an opportunity, because not doing so will definitely result in a guaranteed death. Colossals force you to stay close and look for the blind or the weak spots where the boss cannot hit you as easily. Casters are all about bombarding you with spells and ranged attacks, which will make closing the distance the only viable strategy. And duelists give you more options to stop them from attacking by getting staggered on each hit. Also, their gap closers and faster animations keep you on your toes the entire time, which is the reason why they're my personal favorite category of bosses. Let me know in the comments what your favorite type of boss is. Thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing so I could drop out of college and work on this channel full time. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.